So this is the Inferno Combat Podcast. I'm Hadrian.
Yeah, I'm Big Man Callan, also known as Best Boxing.
Hey, let's go. And we're going to talk some combat sports from boxing to UFC, which is going to be good. So starting off with boxing, um, there's been some rumors mumbling around that Wilder might face Charles Morton. What do you think of that? Best boxing.
Yeah, I know. It's quite interesting fight. Definitely a good fight for Wilder. It's kind of an easy fight for Wilder to get his confidence back, especially after the Fury loss. He needs to, especially because basically I think it's his mandatory. IBF made this mandatory. So, you know, personally I think it's gonna be an easy win. Wilder's gonna apply that pressure, and he might even knock him out, quite early, round 3, round 5, because honestly, Charles Martin isn't that great of a boxer, especially on the defense side. Even though he claimed that he walks this earth as a god, which he does. Let's face it, he has a beast offense, but he needs to work on his defense, like Wilder. But yeah, what do you think?
Well, one thing I do like about this fight is, as we said about Charles Martin's confidence, Charles Martin really wants a title shot, so he's going to be in it to win it, and I think it's going to be a lively affair. But I'm just like you. I don't believe he stands much of a chance against Wilder. But I think it's good for Wilder because Charles Martin is the IBF mandatory. So if Wilder can snatch that, then you can force the winner of Fury versus Joshua to face him. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and that would be great. Because honestly, the winner of Fury against Joshua will be obviously Fury. I don't see another winner. So that way we can see Fury versus Wilder 3. But in that case, I don't see it going well for Wilder again. Just because Fury, I don't know, man, he's something else. You can't knock out Fury. In the first fight, in both fights, Fury clearly won because he outboxed him. But
yeah.
when Wilder knocked him down, I thought that was it. But Fury just stood up, and then he started jogging around, which was surprising. But yeah.
So talking about Fury Wilder 3, um, what do you think of that potential matchup? And what do you think of Tyson Fury not actually wanting to face Deontay Wilder right now and instead going for the undisputed route with Joshua?
I don't know, part of me feels like it's a pussy, but I kind of get Fury, because Wilder made some bullshit accusations that Fury cheated,
Yeah.
but there's no concrete evidence that he did. I mean, not even on camera. If you slow it down, there's some sketchy stuff, but I wouldn't go as far as Wilder did. But in the same time, I think it's good that Fury moved on for that because boxing fans want something new because the two fights clearly were won by Fury and it gets boring for the audience. Fury versus Joshua is something that every boxing fan wanted, for the undisputed heavyweight is just once in a generation event. So definitely really good for sport of boxing as a whole. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, and especially for us British fans here, it's an all British heavyweight clash. It's great for the UK people here. But yeah, it's really exciting. I do agree. I think it's I do kind of feel bad for Wilder because I think even though he was kind of slow to, contractually, reply to Fury, I do think that he does eventually want it. So it sucks to him because Fury and Joshua plan a 2-fight deal, and then you've got the whole thing about Usyk being like the WBO mandatory, so he might have to wait 3-4 fights before he gets it. But hopefully he's not 40 by then because he's 35 now, and it does happen. But talking about the big fights, I think you'd agree, the biggest fight of 2021, Fury versus Joshua. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Right now, they're looking for a potential place it can take place.
Yeah, I saw like the odds. The biggest odds for location is Saudi Arabia, which is great because Saudi Arabia last year's event, Ruiz with Anthony Joshua, was great. But
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
because
it's
you saw that
definitely
in
the biggest
attendance.
event. Yeah, I did. Was great, great performance, music, great food as well. But Yeah, I know it's definitely the most anticipated, and it will be a tough fight for Anthony Joshua. Um, Honestly, I think it will be a might be an easier fight for Tyson Fury than it was when he fought Wilder, just because I don't think Anthony Joshua is at Wilder's level yet in some areas. Because I don't know, Joshua
So
has some weird offense, He's
so
very boxy with his movement. But well,
so for you, those areas that you see Joshua's weaknesses are his offense. What is it that you think Wilder does better than Joshua in the offense department?
I don't know. It's like he hides his intentions better.
Mm,
Even though Wilder gets really predictable after a while, basically he goes for the jab, and then left and a right hook. The right hook is inevitable, but he hides it really well. Joshua is very predictable because he has these same combinations every single time. Wilder's movement as well is kind of more a street fight style, which isn't all that great for boxing because that could get you seriously hurt if you don't know what you're doing. But it looks better as well, and it's more effective to get inside people's guards. Joshua is kind of like a back ranger type guy.
yeah, I do think as well that Wilder's athleticism really helps him. Like he's got really quick legs, so he makes up distance fast. But one thing where I do think actually Joshua's got a better chance is that I think Joshua is more technical than Wilder does. So, if Joshua can get his combos landing, he can get something going. But again, I'm sure you'll agree that we don't really think that Joshua is going to be able to land against Fury. But, if he does, power to him.
Yeah. Also, another thing is I don't think Joshua hits as hard as Fury, as Wilder, sorry, and
Yeah.
I don't think he can knock Fury down. Like, there's a very small chance that he can knock him down and keep him down
Yeah,
because
that's the thing,
Wilder couldn't
keeping
do
him
that.
down. Because Fury got hit by a massive overhand by Steve Cunningham and Deontay Wilder. And both times he just got back up. It's
It was
crazy.
insane. Crazy. Yeah, exactly. It didn't even feel like it affected him that much. He got up and started running. Props
Yeah,
to that guy. Amazing chin.
he literally is like just like Muhammad Ali. You just can't keep this guy down. But yeah, although one thing giving Joshua credit though is I think that Joshua is actually getting better. So this will be a better fight than if it happened a few years ago. Because I think we both agree that in the Andy Ruiz fight, Joshua quit. Like just straight up quits. He didn't want
Yeah,
it
in the
anymore.
first one for sure. Yeah,
And I
yeah. He
think that
he turned his back and then walked to
yeah,
his corner. He
and
was
he like
out of it. He didn't want to.
and he dropped his mouthpiece, yeah. But yeah, I think that since then though, that Joshua has actually rekindled some of that, desire to become champion again. So it's gonna be good because I don't think that Fury this time is gonna be able to make Joshua quit. So I think it's gonna be really interesting. I actually think surprisingly that someone's gonna get knocked out. I know normally with the predictions of Fury is that Fury's gonna win on points or whatever. But Fury last time against Wilder, he changed gym, changed trainer. He's a knockout artist now. He's coming there to knock you out. And I think that now that AJ gets a bit like that as well, it's gonna be some fireworks for sure.
Yeah, it will be. I like the new AJ, especially in the fight that he had recently. But I didn't see it live, but with Pulev. But seeing the highlights, it reminded me of the Anthony Joshua rematch. It's kind of using the strategy of hit and move. But then when he saw that Pulev was hurt, he went for the kill and it worked out in his opportunity. I don't think he can do that with Fury though. He has to be aggressive from the start because the thing is Fury might get better as the rounds go by, even though he's older. He needs to get those early rounds in under his belt. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think as well talking about Joshua. I think that there's also some questions, especially in his last two fights, of is has he actually lost his killer instincts? The kind of knockout artist Joshua we saw
Mm.
before. Because before in his last fight, he kind of knocked Pulev down, got him hurt, and he let him get back into the fights. And I think that against Tyson Fury, that might just be the biggest mistake he could make.
Yeah, I agree because you see that's what Wilder did, and then in the 12th round, after he knocked him down, he kind of gave Fury a few seconds to recover, and then it really went really badly for him. So I don't think that's what Anthony Joshua should do. He should take the approach that he did when he fought Klitschko. He should go for the kill because that's the only way to fight a guy like Tyson Fury. No other way.
Yeah, you can't outbox the boxer. It's like going in there trying to outbox Floyd Mayweather. It just won't happen. But so talking about your background though, the lightweight division, it's pretty amazing right now. What do you think of the current state of the lightweights?
Definitely the best division right now in boxing. You have so many young athletes, amazing. You have someone like Tank, Ryan Garcia, even Lomachenko. They're still amazing character boxers. And it's kind of a shame though, because the lightweight, even though they have some amazing boxers, everyone's kind of ducking each other. They're taking the easy fights, the ones that even the ones that are undefeated, they don't want to lose their record. But I think it gets to the point where all of those undefeated will have to fight each other, and that's when the lightweight division will step up its game. Even right now, it's extremely high though. Like he had some amazing fights. Leo Santa Cruz against Tank was an amazing fight. Tank showed his offense, his body movement, his timing, just completely amazing. Tio against Loma as well.
Yeah.
Really good fight. I'm pretty sure that won the event of the year, Tio against Loma. And it was a really good fight.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah. It did win event of the year. I think the other candidate was Wilder Fury too. Yeah.
yeah. What about you? What do you think of lightweight at the moment?
I agree with you. I think it's the best division in boxing. I think that you're right. People is always kind of being saved at the moments. I think what's happening right now is that, for instance, Lopez has a mandatory in Cambosis, and Haney has a mandatory in in Fortuna. And I think that the mandatory situation, as well as the politics of boxing, are stopping some of these big fights from happening. So I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic that things will get better. I mean, it
Mm.
really does feel like, especially Garcia, is being very aggressive with trying to call out Tank. And I think out of all the fights between those, the four, kings of the lightweight division, I think that Garcia versus Tank is probably the most likely.
I agree, yeah, because Garcia's been talking mad trash on Twitter and Tank's been responding.
Two
I mean, fair
rounds.
enough. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Fair enough to Garcia. His confidence level is insane. I mean, fair enough. He beat Luke Campbell, but let's be honest here. Luke Campbell does not compare with Tank. Yes, Luke Campbell's a gold medalist, but he doesn't compare with a multi-world champion like Tank. He doesn't even
Yeah.
have the same knockout power or movement. There's no way.
Yeah, not just that, but Tank's overall movement's a lot better than Luke Campbell. I felt like Luke Campbell very much has I wouldn't say a similar style, but yeah, he has a similar style to Garcia. So we saw Garcia like take on a style he's not used to. So he did kind of leave himself open, which got him caught. So I think that judging from that performance, I'd pick Tank over Garcia, but I Garcia won me over. Like if I'm being honest, I had big doubts against Luke Campbell just
Mhm.
because of Garcia's inexperience, because of how flat-footed he is, how he doesn't move his head, but he does have heart, and he is getting better under Eddie Reynoso, which is Canelo's trainer. So, what do you think of this new Garcia underneath, Canelo's camp?
Yeah, I could see a massive improvement in Garcia's movement and combination as well. He was always fast, but now with his new combinations, that really showed with his training. Also, his resilience, because he took a really hard left hook, and then most fighters would probably quit after that. But I'm surprised he stood up and battled through, and immediately went after Campbell. He didn't take it easy. He immediately went on the offense and he hurt Luke Campbell twice in that fight, which is amazing. I wouldn't have expected that like a while back. Let's say 2 years ago. I don't think that would have been the case.
Yeah, and he's also the first person to ever stop Luke Campbell, which is quite a feat. And saying that Luke Campbell's been in there with Linares and Lomachenko, so yeah. But overall, talking more about Garcia, one thing which I do think is a potential strength or weakness, however you cut it, slice it, or dice it, is that Ryan Garcia is very emotional. Like when I was watching the Luke Campbell fight, I was looking in the corner, and Eddie Reynoso really had to kind of calm him down and really tell him what to do. I think that Garcia's problem is that, again, he got straight back up, which is great, but let's see if he gets hit by a tank, someone who's faster, stronger,
Yeah.
and has better timing than Luke Campbell. If he gets straight back up on shaky legs, he could get KO'd.
It's over. Yeah, it's over. He didn't take his time, which is kind of odd because he got straight back up. He should have taken his time, relaxed, because you could have seen he had panic in his eyes. He was never in that situation before. He didn't know what to do, and I felt for him. But in the same time, he could that fear was showing, and even Luke Campbell saw that. That's why he was so aggressive. If he better gestion his emotions, then I don't know, maybe Luke Campbell would have been so aggressive. But yeah,
Yeah,
he needs to control his emotions. That's not a good thing.
for sure. So now we've talked about Tank and we've talked about Garcia. What do you think of Haney and Lopez?
Definitely one of the two best in the lightweight division by far. I mean, Tio Lopez is just amazing. He's probably the best guy with combinations and movement, not movement, because movement is tank, but combinations in general and speed. He's just amazing, and he had some great fights under his belt. Like the Loma fight, no one expected Loma to lose against Haney, but this guy pulled it off, and he pulled it off in a spectacular fashion. I mean, just like he's so aggressive and he's very explosive, just like Haney. So I think Haney and Tio would make a great fight, and I hope it happens soon because that would be a banger of a fight. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I think so as well because I mean, the thing which is so interesting about them is they're so similar in size, and the fact is they're both probably the best technical boxers. I think it's fair to say in the division. I mean,
Yeah.
Tank's movement's great and Garcia's fast, but both of them have very good boxing skills in terms of combinations, moving, etc. So I think that personally, I believe that Haney has the best jab in the division, but I believe that Teo is the most proven and the most versatile. So that'll
Hmm.
be a very, very interesting matchup. And hopefully that fight can be made because that is a very exciting fight. And I can definitely see Teofimo knocking out Haney or Haney outboxing Teofimo.
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely there's gonna be a knockout in that fight because both
Yeah.
fighters have that killer instinct. So I don't see Haney knocking out Tio though, but I see
Uh,
him outboxing him as you said. But Tio has the chance of knocking Haney out.
yeah, I really I think Haney has power, right? I mean, everyone at that kind of elite level does have power, and speed a lot of the time, translates into power. But I don't think that's. I just don't think he has the same kind of power as the other guys. And Lopez took some big shots against Lomachenko and just shook it off. So I think that Haney can't hurt him. Haney just has to win on points. And Teo,
Yeah.
he's got all the cards in his favor, so that'll be a good one. And now talking about good fights, moving aside from the boxing, because this is combat sports. This is Infernal Combat podcast. Talk about everything maximum violence. What do you think of the cash cow himself in the UFC, the MMA superstar Irish Conor McGregor versus Dustin Poirier too?
It's such an anticipated fight, especially after the first one, where Conor McGregor completely destroyed Poirier in the second round. But here's the thing, right? Poirier since then evolved into a great fighter. He
Mm,
beat the likes of Gaethje, Max Holloway, who just had like a fight 3 days ago and completely destroyed his opponent.
I'm gonna be real. This
You
is
know,
that fight is probably right now fight of the year right now for me, UFC wise. Yeah,
it really was, yeah. That was the fight of the night. I mean, it proved that Holloway is the best striker in his division.
mm,
But yes, McGregor, I'm so hyped he's back. You know, it's very interesting because McGregor had a really, really long break from UFC. He fought last year in January against Cowboy, which he completely demolished inside 40 seconds, making it his second fastest win
yeah.
after, who was it? After, I don't know,
Oh, after Jose Aldo.
after Jose Aldo. Yeah,
Yeah,
there we go. Um, and yeah, I don't know. He said McGregor tweeted out, and his prediction is that he can knock Dustin out inside 2 minutes. If he does that, it will be insane because, and I don't think he can, because as I said, Dustin just completely evolved, not just physically but mentally also. He's much more composed, and we'll see what happens. You?
yeah. For sure. I mean, I agree with all your points. For me as well, the thing which I'm concerned for McGregor is that he's been out for so long, and when he's come back in, Cowboy Cerrone, he's a top tier fighter, but I don't think he is what he once was. I think he was a bit, if you want to say, a bit over the hill by the time Conor fought him. And his last match was a losing effort against Khabib. So talking about getting on a winning streak and fighting top level opposition, he hasn't really been there since 2016, which is now 5 years ago. So it's all gonna be like, is as McGregor being staying in shape, has he being staying disciplined? He looks disciplined, but we're gonna have to see, is the layoff gonna have an effect like it did on Loma, for instance, against Lopez? I
Yeah.
mean, that those are things you're not gonna know till it's fight nights. And I do agree about Poirier's changed quite a lot. I mean, he's had a great lightweight run now. He's kind of really bounced back, and he's been doing really well. I mean, um, he got the title shot against Khabib, where I thought he did really well. So this is gonna be redemption for both guys, really. Um, and I think it's gonna be better because I don't think Connor's gonna get inside Poirier's head this time. But yeah.
Mm.
What are your like kind of fight predictions, or what do you how do you see this matchup happening? What are you feeling towards it?
Well, obviously, I have to go towards my boy Conor McGregor. I'm a huge McGregor fan. But not only that, after seeing what he did to Cowboy, how aggressive he was, honestly, I think he'll try to do the same thing to Dustin. He'll probably try and rush him with early
Mm,
strikes and head kicks. But the problem with that is that Dustin is an amazing counter puncher. So he needs to have his hands up because if he gets caught on the chin, then it's GG. Because let's be honest, like McGregor doesn't have the greatest chin in the UFC. I mean, Khabib knocked him down with a haymaker, but would have probably knocked down a
a
lot of
very
people as
very
well.
precise haymaker which landed right on the chin.
Yeah, exactly. Would have knocked down almost everyone. But yeah, I think McGregor is gonna go at it, being aggressive. It's weird because McGregor kind of evolved. He doesn't do that crazy combinations as he used to do. Back in the day, he used to do spinning heel kicks and stuff like that. Now with age, he focuses more on striking and leg kicks. No,
Yeah,
no taijutsu type stuff.
yeah, he seems to have like gone back on the combinations and thought more about variety. So now he's a little more versatile, but he doesn't leave himself as open for better or for worse. But what makes this really interesting is I think that Poirier is amazing at the ground game. I think that if he gets Conor on the ground, Conor's already shown he is vulnerable. Even though he doesn't like to admit it, he isn't the best when it comes to wrestling and that part of MMA. So I think that if that does happen, Poirier will win. But striking wise, if it's on the ground, I can't see Poirier really competing, if I'm being honest. I mean, I think that now McGregor, he gets the advantage in all the clinches because of just how good he is as using his shoulder, and his
Yeah.
striking's still as good as ever. and he doesn't throw those wild leg kicks as much as he did against Khabib, which got him down. So I think that
Yeah,
Conor will win. I think that Conor will win early rounds. Actually, I know you probably disagree, but yeah, what do you think? Like, what rounds you see it ending, or what's like your precise, thoughts?
I'm precise. Yeah, I have to agree with you. Connor is an amazing striker. In my opinion, he's the best striker in the entire division, if not in the whole UFC, because his timing and power is just amazing. We've seen against Jose Aldo one punch, and then he put Jose Aldo to sleep. That's all it took. Question is though, because we haven't seen that in a long time, does Conor McGregor still have that knockout power? I think he does, but he didn't use it that much. And in terms of the prediction, I think he's gonna knock out Dustin um, towards the end of the first round. But with a left uppercut, I'm gonna take McGregor's words for it. If he says he's gonna do it because he's super confident, I'm gonna
Man's
take his
going,
word.
man's going full Mystic Mac right now. Hey,
I really am, bro. I'm gonna take my the guy's word for it. He knows the best what he can do. If he
so
says he can do it, he's gonna do it.
so you can be betting on McGregor then?
I don't know, because if it was against someone else, maybe. But knowing how good Dustin is, I'm not
Yeah,
underestimating Dustin. Dustin is
high
an
risk, high
amazing guy.
reward.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. Maybe I will, but not a huge amount of money. You know.
yeah. For
Speaking of
context,
Dustin, it's Dustin's birthday today. It's crazy.
oh yeah, it is. That's true. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Would
I
it be
don't know
great
how
if
old
he's?
he is, but I don't know.
Yeah,
He
hold
looks
on.
young.
Let me do my research real quick whilst we got this podcast popping. That was a weird way to say popping, but Dustin. He is. Let's see. I know Google doesn't give you exact. He is 32 years old today. So in fact, he is
Damn.
younger than McGregor by not that much. So they're pretty similar age wise as well. So there's that as well. Pretty even matchup. We've already seen that Connor can beat Poirier. Stylistically, because to an extent styles make fights, but it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Connor has the reach advantage. He's a bit taller. Poirier though has the weight advantage. I think he's a
Hmm.
bit heavier than McGregor. I don't think that's gonna play a huge part
No,
because
I,
I
I
don't
mean,
see Poirier landing the heavy shots with Connor. But reach will definitely play a huge part in this fight.
yeah, I mean, the only way I can really see Poirier using his weight to his advantage is, and on the ground really, because on clinches
Yeah,
really, Conor McGregor has shown that you don't really want to clinch this guy because he's very snappy with his elbows. Yeah, that's our prediction for the UFC fights. Our thoughts on the boxing lightweight division, on Wilder versus Charles Morton, Wilder Fury 3, and Wilder versus Joshua. Now, if you got anything you want to ask, I don't know where it's gonna be uploaded, but comment down below, and yeah, we'll try to answer your questions. Any like final concluding message to everyone? Best boxing or Callan?
no, I guess I'm hoping everyone's looking forward to this weekend's UFC because it's gonna be definitely a good show. I mean, the whole card is amazing, but this fight is gonna be a banger. You do not want to miss it. So yeah,
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be a great one. Definitely one you don't want to miss out on. Yeah, I don't know if I can recommend buying the pay-per-view, but whatever it is, we want to stay tuned. And we will stay tuned by telling you. I think we're going to do this weekly on a weekly basis, right? This podcast.
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see you next week, and hope everyone's having a good week and staying safe around all the corona. Peace.
Peace out.
I'm gonna float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You can't hit what you can't see. Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. I'm gonna float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You can't hit what you can't see. Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Wait till you see Muhammad Ali.